about the legal chances for community members in Jagersfontein in the Free State who are now considering pursuing criminal action against the owners of a mine where a dam collapsed, a wall of a dam collapsed, and at least 2 people have been killed as a result. As things stand, hundreds more have been displaced. People have lost entire homes, cars as well, also completely submerged in that sludge on Sunday. We can speak further then about the bursting of such mines. Warren Beech is a mining and natural resources law specialist, joins us now. Warren, a very good afternoon to you. Thankful for your time. What immediate questions come to your mind about what unfolded in Jagersfontein on Sunday?
One thing that I've learned over the years is not to jump to conclusions. And I think the most important thing is to allow the investigation to get underway from the relevant departments, the government departments and the mine owners, and to see how that unfolds. But the immediate question is what has happened over the last couple of years. Normally, slimes dams like this fail for a combination of reasons. And in this case, it may be related to the way it's been maintained, the integrity of what you call the walls, how that slimes dam has been maintained. And also it's being reworked at the moment by the current owners and has been reworked since approximately 2011. So it's a question of how it's been maintained, how it's been reworked, and what has changed. And of course, there was high rainfall or rainfall events could affect this, but the key question is what has been done to maintain that slimes dam and what has happened in the reworking of those dumps and that slimes dam.
But whatever the circumstances, what's the likelihood of such a dam merely having a wall collapse suddenly without any expectation or anticipation of disaster?
Not at all. You know, we must acknowledge that this is a very old facility. It goes back to the 1970s or certainly 1870s all the way through to the 1970s. So it's an old facility. But even with it being an old facility, you don't expect it to fail. There are normally warning signs. There are indications in the walls of the dam, or the facility, which give you those indications. And of course, this has gone through many hands. It's been sold. It's been looked at, and the most recent shareholders buying into the company. People would have looked at it, experts would have looked at it, and if there was anything wrong, this should have been picked up and should have been highlighted to the current owners. Things like this don't just happen. There's normally warning signs.
So as you say that, as far back as February of last year, the local mayor was already posting on social media warning that, in fact, disaster was at Jagersfontein's doorstep because that dam would collapse. Earlier we spoke to Richard Spoor, who was saying he's now in possession of reports which show that from government side there'd been warnings from as recently as 3 years ago saying that what was happening there was excessive dumping, and if the company didn't stop, disaster was likely. So what do we need to hear now from the company about the work that would have been done in the period since?
It's a very important question. If government departments were aware of it and they notified the owners and the owners didn't do anything about it, then that is negligence. Something should have been done. The company's communications is that they had everything in place, that they were aware of what needed to be done, and that they were doing things properly. If government departments saw something wrong and notified the owners, then definitely something should have been done to correct that. Overuse is one of the 6 normal reasons for dam failure. In other words, either a catastrophic event like a massive rainfall, or it's reclaimed or reworked and the existing structure, the integrity is impacted, or you have overdumping or overuse. And if overuse was occurring here, then again, that should not have been the case.
Yesterday we were speaking to the company, Jagersfontein Developments. They were telling us that at this point they don't believe that there's any real risk to the safety of people. There's no hazardous risk, they were saying, as a result of the breach of this wall. Is that likely, given what would have been stored in such a dam?
In this particular dam, in all probability, yes. So there's a difference, for example, between a gold slimes dam where mercury and arsenic and other toxic materials have been used to process the old dumps. In this case, because it's a diamond processing or resulting from diamond mining, there probably would not have been toxic materials in the slimes dam, but obviously there is still a safety risk because it's sludge, it's slimes, and it's a high volume of water. So there is still a safety risk, maybe not toxic, but there is still a safety risk because it is material, it's sludge, it's slime.
So regardless, in fact, let me not say regardless of the contents of this dam, Should such an operation have been so close to a residential area, when you look at the speed at which the liquid flowed from there and immediately, I mean, we're showing pictures now, flipped cars on their sides, on their back, people's homes completely destroyed, partially at least 2 people killed. Was that not itself a risk?
It would be, again, going back to the fact that this is an incredibly old facility. Mining stopped in the 1970s, and then the dams and the dumps were sold to Jagersfontein Developments in 2010. So it was there, it existed, the communities developed around those facilities. So normally you would not these days want to position a tailing storage facility close to communities or villages or towns. But this is a very old dam, so it is there. What it means ultimately is that there's a greater responsibility on JD company to look after that facility because it could have an impact on people.
And how thorough, Warren, finally, would you say government's compliance monitoring is when it comes to such issues? I mean, I referenced earlier a report which I must say we've not seen, but Richard Spoor says he's seen from government flagging a risk with this particular dam that's now collapsed. But how thorough are they in monitoring compliance and making sure that where red flags have been picked up, the companies aren't allowed, for example, to fill a dam even further?
Again, if you look at the reports, JD Company is saying that they were stopped and that they then complied and they were then reissued with licenses or new licenses, or were allowed to carry on after government did stop them, according to the reports 2 years ago. The government departments, particularly the Department of Water Sanitation, Department of Employment and Labour, and I know there's been a lot of criticism of them in the media, but they're active, they get involved, and particularly where there's community complaints or complaints from other stakeholders. So they're quite actively involved, and it would be difficult for me to conceive of these departments issuing instructions and then allowing JD Company to continue without compliance. So it's facts that need to come out in the wash in due course, but it would be difficult for me to say or to conceive that government would have allowed them to continue without compliance. They're very, very active.
Warren Beech, Mining and Natural Resources Law Specialist. Good to speak to you, sir. Thank you. Want to take